Captain Han Do-yoon was drinking his third coffee of the day when the alarms started blaring. He set down his cup carefully and watched as the bridge crew scrambled to their stations. The Times Morning Star Times had been surveying asteroid fields for mineral deposits, the most boring assignment in the fleet. That was about to change. "Captain, we have 12 unknown vessels surrounding us," reported Ensign Choi Rina from her communications station. Her fingers danced across the holographic display. They just appeared out of nowhere. Do-yoon stood and straightened his uniform. On screen, the main view screen flickered to life, and several members of the bridge crew made small choking sounds. The alien ships were beautiful. They looked like floating crystals, each one glowing with soft blue and purple lights that pulsed in patterns. They were elegant and clearly designed with care. They were also tiny. Lieutenant Park Min-ji was the first to speak from her weapons station. "Captain, those ships are only 45 meters long. That's smaller than our shuttle bay." Maybe they're scouts?" suggested Kwon Tae-ho, the chief engineer. He leaned forward in his seat, squinting at the display. "No way those are warships." Before anyone could respond, the view screen changed. A holographic figure appeared, standing at least 8 feet tall, with 4 arms and crystalline skin that reflected light like a prism. The being wore elaborate armor decorated with symbols and spoke in a deep, resonating voice. The translator took a moment to process. "Attention, primitive vessel of the species called humans. I am Commander Thexvara of the Velkari Empire, Supreme Fleet Master of the Northern Quadrant, Defender of the Crystal Throne, Bearer of the Eternal Flame." The alien paused, apparently expecting a response to his titles. "You have entered Velkari territory without permission. According to the ancient laws of our people, which stretch back 4,000 years, I hereby challenge your vessel to honorable combat. Prepare yourselves." The transmission ended. The bridge was silent for 3 full seconds. Then Pilot Officer Bae Hyun-woo started giggling. He tried to stop, covering his mouth with his hand, but his shoulders shook. "Hyun-woo," Do-yoon said calmly, "control yourself." "Sorry, Captain. It's just..." Hyun-woo gestured at the screen. "They're so small." "And he called us primitive." Min-ji was running scans, her eyes growing wider with each passing second. "Captain, you need to see this. Their weapons are outputting 0.7 megawatts. Our mining lasers use 15 megawatts. These things couldn't cut through our cargo bay door." "What about their shields?" Do-yoon asked. "They have them, but the power readings are..." Min-ji paused. "Sir, their shields are weaker than the environmental barriers we use to keep atmosphere in the hangar." Navigator Lee Ji-won spoke up from her station. "Captain, their engine signatures suggest they can only travel at 0.4 light speed. We can do 0.9. Tae-ho rubbed his face with both hands. "These guys think they're challenging us to a fight. They have no idea what they're up against." Rina's console beeped. "Captain, they're hailing us again. Commander Thexvara wants our response to his challenge." Do-yoon sat back in his chair. This was a delicate situation. He'd read the basic diplomatic briefs about first contact protocols. Making enemies was easy. Making friends was harder. "Open a channel. Let me talk to him." The hologram of Thexvara appeared again, standing with his 4 arms crossed. "Have you prepared your vessel for combat, human?" "Commander Thexvara, I appreciate the formal challenge, but there's been a misunderstanding. We're a science vessel, not a warship. We're here to study rocks and take soil samples. We didn't mean to intrude on your territory. We can just leave peacefully." The alien's crystalline face somehow managed to look offended. "You dare refuse the ancient challenge? This is an insult to the Velkari people. For 4,000 years, no species has refused our challenge. To do so brings shame upon your entire race. Your cowardice will be recorded in our histories forever," Hyun-woo muttered under his breath. 4,000 years of picking fights and they still have ships this small? Min-ji leaned closer to her console. "Captain, I'm detecting 47 more Velkari ships approaching. I think we insulted them pretty badly. Do-yoon pinched the bridge of his nose. He could already imagine the report he'd have to write for Earth Command. Destroyed diplomatic relations with new alien species by laughing at their warships. Wasn't going to look good on his record. Commander Thexvara, Do-yoon said carefully. We mean no disrespect to your people or your traditions. Could you explain the rules of this challenge? Thexvara seemed pleased by the question. The challenge is simple. Our fleets will meet in battle. We fight until one side yields or is destroyed. The victor gains honor and the right to claim salvage from the defeated. It is the way of warriors. Rena was biting her lip, clearly trying not to laugh. Taeho had turned his chair away from the view screen, his whole body shaking with suppressed laughter. Do-yoon made a decision. They could probably just leave. The Velkari ships were too slow to catch them. But that would create an enemy. And humanity was new to this region of space. Better to accept the challenge and find a way to end it without destroying these people's pride. Very well, Commander Thexvara. The Times Morningstar Times accepts your challenge. When do we begin? 3, 2, 3. The alien seemed surprised, then pleased. Excellent. You have 3 of your hours to prepare. We shall meet at the coordinates I am sending now. May your warriors find glory. The transmission ended. The moment the hologram disappeared, the entire bridge crew burst out laughing. Even Do-yoon couldn't help but smile. All right, everyone, settle down, he said. We need to figure out how to handle this without starting a war or hurting anyone's feelings. Minji, could we actually hurt their ships if we fired on them? Minji checked her instruments. Sir, if I fired our main weapons at full power, I'd probably vaporize all 12 ships before they knew what happened. Even our point defense systems would tear through them like paper. Then we need a plan, Do-yoon said. Because we're going to fight this battle. And somehow, we're going to do it without making enemies of these people. Captain Han Do-yoon stood in the conference room with his senior staff. On the main screen, Admiral Yoon Ji-hae stared at them from Earth Fleet Command, located 20 light-years away. The quantum communication link made her look like she was in the room with them, but the expression on her face suggested she wished she were anywhere else. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, Admiral Yoon said slowly. You've been challenged to combat by aliens who have ships the size of our shuttles, weapons that couldn't scratch our paint, and you accepted? Yes, ma'am, Do-yoon replied. Refusing would have been seen as a grave insult to their entire civilization. Dr. Nam Soo-hyun, the ship's xenoanthropologist, stepped forward. He was a thin man, with messy hair, who looked like he hadn't slept in days. Admiral, I've been reviewing everything we know about the Velkari. They're what we call a late-bloom species. They only achieved faster than light travel about 400 years ago. That's not very long, Lieutenant Park Min-ji commented. Exactly, Soo-hyun continued. Humans have had FTL for 200 years, and we've advanced incredibly fast. Most species take thousands of years to develop the technology we built in decades. The Velkari think they're on the cutting edge of galactic civilization because they've been spacefaring for 4 centuries. Engineer Kwon Tae-ho pulled up a holographic display. I've been analyzing their ship designs. They're actually pretty impressive given their limitations. They've maximized efficiency with what they have. They just don't have access to the materials and energy sources we use. Admiral Yoon rubbed her temples. So, they're technologically behind and don't know it. Most of the galaxy knows it, Soo-hyun said. I accessed the galactic database we purchased from the Traders Guild. The Velkari are known as being very honorable, but also very proud. Other species have been avoiding direct confrontation with them for decades because nobody wants to embarrass them. And we just walked right into it, Do-yoon said. That's not the worst part, Soo-hyun added. If word gets out that humans destroyed a Velkari fleet, it could destabilize their entire government. They've built their society around military honor and the belief that they're a major galactic power. Admiral Yoon leaned forward. Captain Do-yoon, I'm giving you a direct order. You will engage in this battle, and you will lose. Ma'am, Minji's voice rose in protest. You want us to throw the fight? I want you to preserve interstellar peace, Yoon replied firmly. This is bigger than pride. If we humiliate the Valkyrie, we make enemies. If we lose gracefully, we might make allies. Is that clear? Crystal clear, ma'am, Do-yoon said. But he could see the rest of his crew exchanging uncomfortable looks. The quantum link closed, leaving the senior staff alone in the conference room. For a long moment, nobody spoke. We're not seriously going to lose on purpose, are we? Asked Pilot Officer Bae Hyunwoo. I didn't join the fleet to lose fights we could win with one hand tied behind our backs. It's a direct order. Do-yoon reminded him. It's a stupid order, Minji muttered. No offense, Captain. Navigator Lee Ji-won spoke up quietly. The Admiral has a point, though. We're new to this region of space. Making enemies our first week here isn't smart. Neither is letting ourselves get shot at, Hyunwoo countered. Taeho had been quiet, staring at his tablet. I might have an idea. What if we don't throw the fight, but we don't win it either? Everyone turned to look at him. Explain, Do-yoon said. We handicap ourselves. Disable most of our systems to make it fair. If we fight with only a fraction of our capabilities, the Valkyrie might actually land some hits. We look like we tried our best. They get their honor, and nobody has to feel bad about it. Then, Axis, Minji pulled up her tactical display. If we shut down our main weapons, limit power to engines, and maybe disable our shield generators, we'd still win in 30 seconds. Ji-won finished. Captain, there's no level of handicap that makes this a fair fight. Their weapons can't hurt us. Even if we turned off every defensive system, their shots would bounce off our hull. Soo-hyun cleared his throat. What if we let them think they hurt us? If we take a few hits and act damaged, they save face. We then yield the battle. They claim victory. Everyone goes home. Happy. That's lying, Hyunwoo said. Warriors don't lie about combat. Warriors also don't bully people weaker than them, Rena pointed out. She'd been quiet until now. I've been listening to their communications. They're excited. They think this is going to be a glorious battle. They're recording everything for their history archives. Do-yoon walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Valkyrie were preparing for what they thought would be an even fight. They had no idea they were bringing knives to a gunfight. No, it was worse than that. They were bringing spoons to a tank battle. All right, he said finally. Here's what we're going to do. Taeho, disable everything except maneuvering thrusters and our oldest point defense laser, the Type 7 that we were supposed to replace last year. That thing barely works, Taeho said. Perfect. Minji, set it to minimum power. I want it running at 5% capacity. At 5% it won't even cut through their shields, Minji protested. Then make it 10%. Enough to look like we're trying. Hyunwoo, you'll pilot using only the maneuvering thrusters. No main engines. Captain, those are designed for docking procedures. We'll be moving in slow motion. Good. Ji-won, plot us a course that keeps us in the fight, but gives the Valkyrie every advantage. Dr. Soo-hyun, I want you monitoring their communications. If they start to suspect we're holding back, let me know immediately. Rena raised her hand slightly. What about our shields, Captain? Do-yoon thought about it. Leave them on standby. If something goes wrong, and they actually manage to damage us, the automatic systems will kick in. But I don't want them active unless necessary. This is insane, Minji said, but she was smiling. We're going into a space battle with basically nothing but attitude and a broken laser pointer. And acting skills, Soo-hyun added. We all need to sell this performance. When they hit us, we need to react like it hurt. When they hit us? Hyunwoo laughed. You mean, if they hit us? I've seen their targeting solutions. My grandmother could dodge their shots. Then dodge badly, Doyun ordered. Everyone understand the plan? The crew nodded, though some looked more convinced than others. We have 2 hours before the battle begins, Doyun said. Get to work. And remember, we're not trying to win. We're trying not to embarrass anyone, while also not dying. Should be easy. Nobody laughed. They all knew this was going to be the strangest fight in human history. The Times Morningstar Times drifted into the designated combat zone with all the speed and grace of a floating brick. Captain Han Do-yoon sat in his command chair, watching the Valkyrie fleet arrange themselves in formation. It had already taken them 40 minutes to get into position. They're very organized, Navigator Lee Ji-won observed. Each ship has a specific place in their formation. It's actually quite beautiful. It's also incredibly predictable. Lieutenant Park Min-ji added from her weapons station. I could target all 12 ships in the time it takes them to move into position. Don't, Do-yoon reminded her. Remember the plan. Pilot Officer Bae Hyun-woo adjusted their position, using only the maneuvering thrusters. The ship moved like it was swimming through honey. This is torture, Captain. These thrusters are meant for parking, not combat. Consider it a learning experience, Do-yoon said. On the view screen, Commander Thexvara appeared in his holographic glory. Human Vessel Times Morningstar **. You have shown courage by accepting our challenge. Know that we shall remember this battle for 1,000 years. Are you prepared? We're ready, Commander, Do-yoon replied, trying to sound serious. Then let honor guide our weapons, and may the worthy claim victory. Thexvara raised all 4 of his arms dramatically. Begin. The transmission cut, and immediately the Valkyrie ships opened fire. Streams of blue energy shot across space toward the Times Morningstar **. The bridge crew watched, in fascination, as the weapons approached. Impact in 5 seconds, Ji-won reported calmly. The energy bolts hit the Times Morningstar's Times hull and splashed across it like water hitting a windshield. The ship didn't even shake. Damage report, Do-yoon said, keeping his voice level. Engineer Kwon Tae-ho checked his console. There is no damage, Captain. The hull temperature rose by 0.03 degrees. My coffee is hotter than their weapons. The computer didn't even recognize it as weapons fire, Min-ji added. The automatic defense systems think it's background radiation. Ensign Choi Rina was listening to the Valkyrie communications channel. Captain, they're confused. They're saying their weapons should have at least damaged our shields. They're running diagnostics on their systems. Do-yoon leaned forward. Min-ji, return fire. 1 shot, 10% power. Aim for their flagship's shields. Yes, sir. Min-ji targeted the lead Valkyrie ship and fired the ancient Type 7 laser. A thin, red beam lanced across space. It hit the Valkyrie flagship's shields and punched right through them, scorching a line across the ship's hull before Min-ji cut power. Direct hit, Min-ji reported. Their shields collapsed on the first shot. Through the view screen, they could see the Valkyrie flagship listing to one side. Smoke venting from the damage. Rina's eyes widened. Captain, they're absolutely shocked. Commander Thexvara is calling it devastating power beyond imagination. They're rallying the rest of their fleet for a coordinated attack. Good, Do-yoon said. Hyun-woo, make us an easier target. Move us toward the center of their formation. Are you sure, Captain? That's basic tactical mistake number 1. That's the point. Make it look like we don't know what we're doing. Hyun-woo shrugged and adjusted their course. The Times Morningstar Times slowly drifted into the middle of the Valkyrie fleet formation. The alien ships immediately took advantage, surrounding them in a sphere. They're charging weapons again, Ji-won reported. All ships this time. 47 vessels. Total. Here it comes, Tae-ho said. The Valkyrie unleashed everything they had. Energy bolts from 47 ships converged on the Times. Morningstar Times, from all directions. The view screen lit up like a fireworks display. The ship was engulfed in blue and purple light, and nothing happened. Still no damage, Tae-ho reported, trying not to laugh. Hull temperature is now up to .2 degrees. We're being attacked by the universe's weakest laser show. Doyun stood up. Everyone. Act like that hurt. Rena. Open a channel. Ji-won. Rock the ship a little. Ji-won triggered the maneuvering thrusters in a random pattern, making the ship shake convincingly. We're taking heavy fire, Commander Thexvara, Doyun said, grabbing his chair for support, even though nothing was actually wrong. That was a solid hit. Through the communications channel, they could hear cheering from the Valkyrie ships. Minji fired back, deliberately missing 2 shots before landing a third that barely grazed a Valkyrie vessel. It's harder to miss than to hit, she muttered. These ships are slow and predictable. The battle continued in this strange pattern. The Valkyrie would fire everything they had, accomplishing nothing. The Time's Morningstar Times would shake dramatically and return fire with shots that either missed or barely connected. After 20 minutes, Hyunwoo was getting frustrated. Captain, they're trying to flank us, but moving so slowly I could take a nap and wake up before they complete the maneuver. Can I at least dodge properly? No. In fact, dodge worse. Let something hit us dead center. But Captain, do it. Hyunwoo deliberately held position as a Valkyrie torpedo crawled toward them at what felt like walking speed. It impacted the Times. Morningstar Times, directly on the forward hull. There was a small flash of light. We've been hit, Taeho announced with fake urgency. Then, more quietly, hull integrity at 99.98%. We literally have a scorch mark. That's it. Rena was grinning. Captain, they're celebrating like they just won the battle. Commander Thexvara is praising his torpedo commander for a devastating strike against the mighty human vessel. Minji shook her head in disbelief. Their devastating strike did less damage than me, bumping into a door. But Doyun noticed something interesting. The Valkyrie were coordinating better now. Their tactics were improving as the fight continued. They were learning and adapting. These weren't just proud warriors, they were smart ones. Minji, take out 2 more ships. Make it look difficult, Doyun ordered. Minji feared, deliberately taking multiple shots to disable 2 Valkyrie vessels. Sparks flew from her console as she overloaded the ancient laser. Captain, the Type 7 is overheating. We can't keep firing at even this low power level. How long until it fails? Maybe 90 more seconds. Doyun smiled. Perfect. That's exactly what we need. The crew looked at him like he'd gone crazy. But Doyun was already formulating the next step of his plan. They were going to lose this battle, but they were going to do it in a way that mattered. Hyunwoo, position us for their next torpedo volley. Minji, fire everything we've got left. Empty the laser until it burns out. Make it spectacular. Captain, are you sure about this? Trust me. We're about to give the Valkyrie the victory they want and the lesson they need. Lieutenant Park Minji pushed the ancient Type 7 laser beyond all recommended limits. Red warning lights flashed across her console as the weapon heated to dangerous levels. She fired shot after shot at the Valkyrie fleet, each blast intentionally going wide or barely clipping shields. Laser temperature critical, she announced. We're going to have a burnout in 60 seconds. Keep firing, Captain Han Doyun ordered. Make it look desperate. The Times Morningstar Times shuddered as another volley of Valkyrie torpedoes struck the hull. The impacts were still doing essentially nothing, but engineer Kwon Taeho had gotten creative with the special effects. He was venting steam from the waste recycling system and triggering sparks in non-essential corridors. From the outside, it probably looked like they were taking serious damage. Ensign Choi Rena suddenly held up her hand. Captain, I'm receiving a private transmission. Audio only. It's not from Commander Thexvara. Put it through to my earpiece only, Doyun said. A female voice spoke in heavily accented but clear English. Human Captain. This is Sub-Commander Vei Nash of the Valkyrie 2nd Fleet. I am speaking on a secure channel that my commander cannot hear. We need to talk. Doyun kept his face neutral. I'm listening. You are holding back, Vainash said simply. I have studied the combat data. Your ship could destroy our entire fleet in seconds, yet you use only a single weak weapon. You move like you are damaged, but our sensors show your main engines are simply turned off. Why? Doyun made a quick decision. Sometimes honesty was better than deception. We didn't want to embarrass your people. Your commander issued an honorable challenge. We're trying to accept it honorably. There was a long pause. You would rather lose than shame us? You would rather lose than shame us. We'd rather find friends than make enemies. Another pause. Longer this time. My commander is a good leader, but very proud. Like all Velkari, he has been taught we are a dominant military power in the galaxy. But I have traveled more than most. I have seen other species with technology we cannot match. I have suspected for years that we are not as advanced as we believe. Your ships are well designed, Doyun said. Your tactics are solid. You work with what you have very effectively. But what we have is not enough, is it? Doyun watched through the view screen as the Velkari fleet regrouped for another attack. Technology isn't everything. Your people fight with honor and discipline. That matters more than weapons. Pretty words, Vainash said, but her tone was thoughtful rather than dismissive. Human captain, I will ask you something. And I want the truth. If you fought us with your full power, how long would this battle last? Doyun looked at Minji, who held up 3 fingers. 3 minutes. Doyun said quietly. 3 minutes, Vainash repeated. And we have been fighting for 40 minutes. You have been. What is the word? Playing with us. We've been trying not to hurt anyone while respecting your traditions. That is the kindest insult I have ever received, Vainash said with what might have been a laugh. Listen carefully. Commander Thexvara will not accept victory easily. If you simply surrender now, he will know something is wrong. You need to make it believable. We're working on that, Doyun said. Our weapon is about to fail. We were going to use that as our excuse to yield. Good. Make it dramatic. And human captain? After this is over, I believe we should talk more. My people have much to learn. And I think yours have much to teach. The transmission ended just as Minji's console erupted in sparks. Laser system failure, she announced, perhaps a bit more dramatically than necessary. The Type 7 just melted its cooling system. We have a fire in the weapons bay. Teho was ready. I'm venting the bay to space. Fire suppressed. But Captain, we're down to 0 offensive weapons. Pilot Officer Bei Hyunwoo played his part perfectly. Maneuvering thrusters are also showing heat stress. If we keep this up, we won't be able to dodge anything. On the view screen, the Velkari fleet was moving into a new formation. This one was actually clever. They were positioning themselves to create overlapping fields of fire that would be difficult to escape from even with full engines. They're learning, Navigator Li Jiwan observed. That formation is genuinely good tactics. It is, Doyun agreed. He opened a channel to Commander Thexvara. Commander, our weapons system has failed. We're unable to continue effective combat. Thexvara appeared on the screen, all 4 arms raised in triumph. The Times, Morning Star Times, has fought with courage. You have brought honor to your species. Will you yield? This was the moment. Doyun could see his crew watching him, waiting. We yield the battle to the Velkari Empire, Doyun said formally. You have proven yourselves skilled warriors. The cheering from the Velkari fleet was audible even through the static of the communications channel. Captain Doyun, Thexvara said, his tone shifting to something more respectful. It is tradition for the victor to offer the defeated a chance to meet face to face. Will you and your officers dock with our flagship? We wish to honor your bravery with a feast. Minji leaned over and whispered, Is it safe? Only one way to find out. Doyun replied quietly. Then, louder. Commander Thexvara, we would be honored to accept your invitation. 2 hours later, Doyun stood in the docking bay with Minji, Taeho, and Rina. They were dressed in formal uniforms and carrying no weapons, as was traditional for post-battle meetings. "Remember," Doyun said quietly, "we lost this fight. Act appropriately humble." "I'm not good at humble," Minji muttered. "Try." The docking tube connected with a soft thud, and the airlock opened. Velkari warriors stood on the other side, their crystalline bodies reflecting the light in beautiful patterns. They were even more impressive in person, tall, graceful, and clearly powerful despite their inferior technology. Commander Thexvara stood at the center, his forearms spread in welcome. "Captain Doyun, you fought well. Come, we have prepared refreshments. Our people wish to hear the story of the battle from your perspective." As they walked through the Velkari flagship, Doyun noticed something interesting. The ship was immaculate. Every surface was clean and well-maintained. The crew moved with discipline and purpose. These weren't primitive warriors. They were professionals who simply lacked access to better resources. In the central hall, hundreds of Velkari had gathered. Tables were loaded with strange but delicious-smelling food. The atmosphere was celebratory but also respectful. Sub-Commander Vainash appeared at Doyun's side. She was smaller than Thexvara, but moved with quiet confidence. "Captain, walk with me for a moment, before the feast begins." They stepped into a quieter corridor. "My commander plans to make a speech praising the battle," Vainash said. "But there is someone else you must speak with. Our elder, Kex Mara, watched the entire battle through our recording drones. He wishes to talk with you privately. Your leader, our wisest counselor. He has lived for 300 years and seen much of the galaxy. He is perceptive." A hologram flickered to life in the corridor. An ancient Velkari appeared, his crystalline body dimmed with age but his eyes bright with intelligence. "Captain Doyun," the elder said softly, "thank you for the gift you have given us today." "Gift, elder?" "The gift of dignity. You could have humiliated us. Instead, you chose kindness, wrapped in deception. That is a rare quality in this galaxy." Doyun felt his stomach drop. "You know, I know many things, young captain. And now we must decide what to do with this knowledge." Captain Han Doyun stood in the quiet corridor of the Velkari flagship, facing the hologram of Elder Kex Mara. The ancient being's crystalline body flickered in the blue light, his old eyes watching Doyun with an expression that seemed almost amused. "You don't seem surprised that I know the truth," Kex Mara said. "With respect, elder, you don't live for 300 years without learning to see through deception." Doyun replied carefully. Kex Mara made a sound like wind chimes' Velkari laughter. "I like you, human. You are diplomatic. Tell me, did you enjoy watching your ship being attacked by weapons that could not harm you?" "Not particularly. But I enjoyed not making enemies more." Wise answer. The elder moved closer, his hologram becoming more solid. "Let me tell you a story, Captain. 400 years ago, my people discovered faster-than-light travel. We were so proud. We thought we had reached the pinnacle of technological achievement. We built ships and sent them to the stars, expecting to be welcomed as equals by the great civilizations of the galaxy." Doyun listened quietly. "Do you know what we found instead?" Kex Mara continued. "Species who had been traveling the stars for thousands of years. Beings with technology so advanced, it seemed like magic. And do you know what they did?" "Number. They didn't tell you." "Exactly. They smiled and nodded, and let us continue believing we were special. They made excuses not to trade with us. They avoided our territory. They treated us like children playing with toys. And we never realized it." The elder's voice grew sad. "Pride can be a shield, Captain. But it is also a prison." Sub-Commander Vainash spoke up. "Elder Kex Mara has been trying to open our people's eyes for decades. But change is difficult when everyone believes a comfortable lie." "So what happens now?" Doyun asked. "Do you tell your people the truth?" "That depends on you," Kex Mara said. "Commander Thexvara, is about to give a speech about our glorious victory. He will praise your courage and skill. He will talk about how the mighty humans fought well but ultimately fell to superior Velkari tactics. If I allow this, my people continue living in their comfortable delusion. If I tell them the truth, I shatter everything they believe about themselves. Doyun thought carefully before speaking. Elder, what do you want? I want my people to grow. I want us to join the real galaxy, not the fantasy version we have created. But I also do not want to destroy their spirit. The old Velkari looked at Vayanash. What do you think, Sub-Commander? Vayanash straightened her forearms. I think the captain has shown us something important. He could have proven his superiority by destroying us. Instead, he proved it by choosing not to. That is real strength. Thanks for watching. Please no one tell you. And the next time, indeed. Keksmara turned back to Doyun. I propose something unusual, Captain. We tell the truth, but we tell it in a way that builds rather than destroys. Will you help me? Before Doyun could answer, Lieutenant Park Minji's voice came through his communicator. Captain, we have a situation. Commander Thexvara is about to start his speech. He wants you on stage with him. Understood, Doyun replied. He looked at the elder. The great hall was packed with Velkari warriors. They cheered as Commander Thexvara walked onto the raised platform, his crystalline body gleaming under the lights. Captain Doyun followed, along with his crew members. Warriors of the Velkari Empire. Thexvara's voice boomed. Today, we have achieved a great victory. The humans fought bravely, but our superior tactics and determination won the day. The crowd roared with approval. Captain Doyun and his crew showed the courage of true warriors. They accepted our challenge when they could have fled. They fought with honor until their weapons failed. Let us celebrate this glorious battle. The cheering grew louder. Doyun saw his crew members looking uncomfortable. This was the moment where they would either maintain the lie or break it. Then Elder Keksmara's hologram appeared on the stage. The hall went silent immediately. When the elder spoke, everyone listened. Commander Thexvara speaks truth, Keksmara said. But not the whole truth. Warriors of the Velkari, I watched this battle with great interest, and I saw something that filled me with both shame and hope. The crowd murmured in confusion. The humans did not fight us with their full strength, Keksmara said plainly. Their ship never deployed shields. They used only a single, outdated weapon. They moved at a fraction of their capability. They did this, not out of fear, but out of kindness. Thexvara's forearms dropped. Elder, what are you saying? I am saying that the Times Morning Star Times could have destroyed our entire fleet in minutes. Their technology is far beyond ours. They knew this, and they chose to give us a fair fight rather than humiliate us. The hall erupted in angry shouts. Some warriors called for renewed combat. Others demanded explanations. Thexvara looked like he had been struck. Keksmara raised his arms for silence. Listen to me. This is not cause for shame. It is cause for celebration. The humans showed us what real honor looks like. They had absolute power over us and chose mercy. How many species would do the same? Engineer Quan Teho leaned close to Doyun. Is this going to work? I have no idea, Doyun whispered back. Vaynash stepped forward. I spoke with Captain Doyun during the battle. I asked him why they held back. Vaynash, why they held back. He said they would rather find friends than make enemies. Ask yourselves, warriors, would we have done the same in their position? The hall grew quiet as the Valkyrie considered this. Thexvara finally spoke, his voice heavy. You are saying we won nothing, that the humans gave us charity. No, Doyun said, surprising everyone by stepping forward. You won something important, Commander. You showed us that the Velkari value honor and courage. You adapted your tactics during the battle. You learned and improved in real time. That impressed us more than any weapon could. But you could have destroyed us. Thexvara said. Yes. And you could have refused to help someone weaker than you. But you wouldn't. Would you? Because that's not who you are. Minji spoke up. Captain's right. We studied your people. You have a history of protecting smaller species in your territory. You could have conquered them. But instead, you defended them. You value honor over conquest. We respect that, Ensign Choi Rena added. It's rare in the galaxy. Elder Kexmara smiled. The humans have something we need, technology and knowledge. We have something they need, allies and honor. I propose we stop pretending and start learning from each other. Thexvara stood still for a long moment. Then, slowly, he began to laugh. It was a bitter sound at first, but it gradually became genuine. We are fools. We have been fools for 400 years. Proud fools, Vayanash said gently. But fools who can learn. Commander, Doyun said. My government sent me orders to lose this battle to preserve peace. But I think there's a better path. What if instead of enemies or even just allies, we became partners? You teach us about honor and tradition. We share our technology. Together, we both become stronger. Thexvara looked at his crew, then at the elder, then back at Doyun. You would do this? After we challenged you and insulted your ship? You called us primitive, Pilot Officer Bei Hyunwoo said with a grin. That was pretty funny, actually. Despite everything. Several Velkari laughed. Very well, Thexvara said formally. On behalf of the Velkari Empire, I accept your offer of partnership. Teach us about your technology. In return, we will show you the honor codes that have guided us for 4,000 years. The hall erupted in cheers. But this time they were different. Less about victory, more about possibility. 6 months later, Captain Doyun stood on the bridge of the Times Morningstar Asterisk, watching a combined human-Velkari patrol fleet jump into hyperspace. The Velkari ships looked different now, sleeker, faster, and equipped with upgraded weapons systems designed jointly by both species. The colony reports the pirate attack has been repelled, Navigator Lee Jiwan reported. The Velkari Second Fleet is pursuing the survivors. Good, Doyun said. How did the new weapons perform? Perfectly, Minji replied with satisfaction. The Velkari are natural warriors. Give them proper tools, and they're devastating. On the view screen, Commander Thexvara appeared. Captain Doyun, the pirates are fleeing. Should we pursue? Your call, Commander. It's your territory. Then we pursue. Vayanash, take your squadron and cut them off. Let's show these criminals what happens when they threaten our friends. The Velkari ships accelerated away with speed and grace that would have been impossible 6 months ago. They learn fast, Teho observed. They were always capable, Doyun said. They just needed someone to believe in them, instead of managing them. A message came through from Admiral Yoon Ji-hae at Earth Command. Captain Doyun, I'm reading reports that the Velkari Human Defense Initiative is exceeding all expectations. Congratulations on turning a potential disaster into our strongest alliance in this sector. Thank you, Admiral. Though I should mention we didn't actually follow your orders to lose that battle. I noticed, Yoon said dryly. You found a third option. That's why you're a good captain. After the transmission ended, Doyun looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Velkari were learning that strength wasn't just about weapons or technology. It was about knowing when to use them and when to offer a hand instead. Captain, Rena said, we're receiving a formal invitation from Elder Kexmara. He wants us to attend a ceremony on the Velkari homeworld. They're dedicating a monument to the Battle of the Crystal Sphere. What kind of monument? 2 ships, 1 human, 1 Velkari not fighting, but reaching toward each other. Doyun smiled. Tell the Elder we'd be honored to attend. The Times Morningstar Times turned toward Velkari space, not as conquerors or victims, but as friends. And that, Doyun thought, was worth more than any military victory.